Hello guys, this is Avcoor and I want to talk about the new character Morgan Le Fay. I'm really scared for this game because the devs didn't put too much time or effort into this new update, so that is very worrying. But the characters they made are so good that I'm still going to play the game. So the reason why Morgan Le Fay is an interesting character to me, it's it's character design done right. It's balanced, but it's not overbearing, but it's very unique in its execution. That's why I'm going to continue to play the game because this character is extremely amazing to me. But why do I say that? So let me get into
또 만났네요.
the overall character assessment and you'll understand at the end of the video whether she is a must-have or not. But first, let's look at her overall kit and her stats and her makeup. So we always start with the element, the class, and the weapon because that's important. That's the foundation of any character. So of course she's water, of course she's a mage, and she uses an instrument. The reason why I'm kind of like disappointed with that is if you look at that and you look at Lena, they basically use the same weapon, they have the same class, and they have the same element. Excuse me. Like when you look at Attune and Light, Light uses an instrument and Attune uses a staff. I thought they could have done the same thing here, but for aesthetics or design, they went with that, so it's okay. That means all of her equipment you can share with Lena if that's what you're interested in. But besides that, her stat line is a little better than Lena's, but not by much. Something that I'm actually satisfied with, and this is the reason why. The HP is the same, the physical attack is the same, which is like a non-factor with her, so she doesn't use physical attack. Her magic attack is a little higher than Lena's, and her defense is higher than Lena's. And I can understand that because Lena is Gen 1, so the stats will actually increase as we get progress deeper into the game. So this is normal. I'm glad that they only made a slight modification with the physical defense because wizards are really squishy, and that's why it's hard to justify their use in PvE content. They're mainly for PvE content. Like if you're a strong support like Yig, then sure you're good for PvP. But if you do not have support options, it's hard to justify the existence of a wizard because a warrior can pretty much do the same thing and they have higher HP and defense. And sometimes they really get good like magic defense. Or unless you're like freaking Lancelot where you can get hit by AoE and like recover your HP, you can do that too. So there's things that warriors have that makes them superior to wizards in almost every way in this game. So this is fine. The thing that makes wizards great and the thing that makes her great is magic attack is lethal in this game, and the fact that a lot of units do not have good magic defense. Like even the warriors, if you catch them off guard, you can melt them with a spell. So that's always the option here. Her concentration could be a little higher because if she crit with a magic attack, she's killing a lot of the meta. So keep that in mind. Like especially Electo and the newest tank that we have, a crit would melt them instantaneously. So this stat line is pretty good. And I'm glad the fact that the concentration is a bit down because wizards can get very overpowered when their crit is high. So as you can tell, I cannot translate this, but we can go to the Never account and we can actually see her overall unique passive. So it's Crystal Ice. After casting an active attack or receiving a support type skill, acquire one stage of Magic Crystal Shield status. Single attack range increases by one when level 3 Magic Crystal Shield status is accumulated. So, this is the thing about this character. She works well with characters that do buffs, and there's a lot of characters that apply buffs, especially healers, especially Avia of the Water, talking about you, that apply really good buffs that allow her to reach this magic crystal shield status in a relatively short time. So this is something that you do not have to worry about building up. It's an interesting mechanic that makes her more of a team player, as sometimes she can be extremely selfish as she needs someone to buff her up, or she can get there with her own active attacks. It'd be better if you buff her up. So, like at the beginning of a fight, you would like to buff her because in PvP and in PvE, there's always this startup time where you have time to prepare because you're not going to rush the enemy immediately unless you play a rush type style, which is more preferred in PvP, but it has its limits. So the first part of this is really amazing, but it gets better because Magic Crystal Shield increases her damage dealt by 4% up to 10%. Even at 4%, this is really good, and reduces the damage she takes by 4% up to 10%. This is really good. This is where we look at the overall construction of this character and why she's so potent. Overall damage reduction in a wizard's kit is phenomenal, to say the least, as wizards are extremely squishy, and the fact that she has a way to get around that in a very clever way is really cool to me. So that's why I'm really digging this character. I can't believe they made a character so good. So at the end of the action, restores the HP of two, one, two to three allies with the lowest HP on the battlefield when a skill was used for this action. Recovery amount is one time the caster's magic attack power up to 3 levels cannot be removed. This is why when you look at her runes, we'll talk about them later, that clock is preferred, or hourglass as you would call it, so she can cycle through her cooldowns. That will enable her in order to constantly cast skills in order to heal the party. That's why someone like Hazel is an extremely good partner, because not only is she providing buffs, she's also reducing cooldowns. All right. So let's look at her skill since we're in this place where we can translate things. So heart piercing crystal. I talked about this in the earlier video, but this is the most important part that I want you to look at. It only requires one skill point in order to execute, which is amazing. That means you can run 3 attacks on her to cycle through. That's why I think Hourglass is very potent on this character. So you attack a single enemy, you deal 1.4 times damage, increases magical penetration by 12% whenever you have the first stage of Magic Crystal Shield up to 36%. This is another aspect of her kit because, like with a lot of characters that they made, their overall skills do not overlap with their unique talent. And they put a lot of time into this character, or they looked at some other character designs and put the best of those things in her. So all you have to do is build her Magic Crystal Shield to 3, which is easy if you have someone like Hazel in the party, or Avia, or Alicia. Alicia can also build stacks really quick of Magic Crystal Shield as well. So, and you're actually increasing your magic penetration by 36%. And that's really good. This is a really good skill. I really like it. So, Cold Snow Rain inflicts zero point 0.5 damage to all enemies within range and inflicts weakness. Weakness is really good. You're just reducing magic. So you're just reducing magic damage. If there are 3 or more enemies hit, a 1 turn cooldown is applied to a non-cooldown active skill. Like I said, they really thought about her kit. And I don't understand if they put so much time into building this character, why they would screw up this game. Because this is really good, because it rolls on itself. You have ways like, if you use Heart Piercing Crystal, this is a way to drop that cooldown at least by 1. So you're when you look at it, you're actually dropping it by 2 because You use the skill, you use this skill, you hit 3 units, and it drops it by 2, right? So because you actually spend a turn and you actually drop the cooldown, so it's dropped by 2. So after the next round, you can actually, use the skill again, which is really, really, really good. And that's actually 3 attacks, so you're actually building up your magic crystal, your magic crystal shield, which is, yeah, magic crystal shield. This is a really good character. I might have to roll for her, man. Holy crap! I would even play her at 3 stars. She's so good. Okay, knowledge. After an active attack, grant inspire status to all allies within 3 blocks. Lasts up to 2 turns. Water attributes. Water attribute allies gain additional ice shield status. Like I said, really well made character. As like if Avi is in the party, which excuse me, in a top tier team she will be, you actually can apply ice shield to her, which increases her survivability. And people like Charlotte, people like Catch and Coil really appreciate someone that can do that for them. So even Coil's dog counts as water. So you're looking at like a strong water core that she can actually be a part of. That's amazing. Because she's basically doing half of Lohane's job, because Lohane's actually drops ice shield on you too. So that's pretty darn that's brutal. Lohane's is cucked on some level, but if you think about it in a PvE scenario, Lohane's has like one of his best partners in Morgan Le Fay. So super, super, super interesting. So Moonlight Curse attacks a single enemy, inflicting 1.8 damage and applying before battle seal status, which seal actually nullifies your passive skills. This can be really good against tanks. Of course, the cooldown is 4 turns, which it should be since it's really, really powerful. Excuse me. And you acquire the status of Magic Boost, last 3 turns. So Magic Upsurge is super gay. And it's one of the reasons why I'm so excited about this character. Changes your normal attack factor to 1.3 times damage and reduces the cooldown of all active skills by 1 turn after an active normal attack. That's why I think Clock is so broken on her. Like this character, you kind of want her to constantly cycle through her skills. I'm really in love with this character. Anyway, let's go to exclusive weapon Star of the Blue Sea. I like the fact that the devs have learned attack and HP. These are the best stats for a weapon, no matter what anyone says. We're possessing Magic Crystal Shield, Magic Attack Power, Magic Defense Power increased by 5%. Immune to the status of ability Decrease type when Magic Shield has 3 levels. Healing effect is increased by 50%. Extremely amazing. It's like they got everything right with this character. It's like they understood. Like it's like they're figuring out how to actually construct good characters. It's like what are the devs doing? If they could do this good in the character design, all they have to do is make some content. I know that this game is not doing well in Korea, and even in Japan, it's not doing that well. But they could have made some serious modifications because it shows you that the devs are really figuring out how to make a great character. So let's jump back into the game. Let's go into traits. Let's go into her bonds real quick. So she needs Lancelot, which is you should have Lancelot, I think. And Valek, you should have Valek because I regret not having Valek. Those are 2 characters that I feel that you should have because they're super great. So let's go into equipment.
이곳은 영역계적 작업 부서다.
소망의
I've been using
메아리
Hassan a lot, so I put Lena's equipment on him, and this is basically it's some of the equipment that you want on her, but I think her best robe is actually this water robes and pied pies, as you're reducing critical hits, which critical hits kill wizards because they're so darn squishy. So you want crit reduction. This is also really good. Starlight robe, 10% less damage. I think those are the best ones for her. Hats, I will always say this will always be the crown of gods because you're trying to reduce damage and not die. I would if no, I think that's the best one. I think her unique weapon is good, but if you don't have her unique weapon, magical instrument of truth is all right because wizards are less of a priority. So when you're looking at accessories, there's a couple ones that work. This is really good. A sacred constellation because you're increasing your magic attack power when you're hitting an opponent, so that's really good. And the other one I would suggest is not that. Where is it at? Okay, you're immune to can't use active skills, and you're immune to physical attack and magic attack minus 20%. So an open-ended person is really good. And so is King Cat Eyes because there's a 50% chance to reduce your skill cooldown by one. So I think as far as equipment goes, those are her best pieces of equipment because you want her to survive. And people, I don't think, stress survival enough. As the veterans will tell you, you have to live in order to fight. So for me, I think that is best. And let's finally go
이곳은
into
영역계
her
적착업부서다.
best allies.
무슨 일이지? 먼저 회의 시간을
Hands down,
예약해라.
I think
책에서
Hazel is one of the best allies she can have because she's actually giving you buffs in her unique passive. So she's actually giving you buffs like that will just shoot your freaking magic crystal shield up to like 3. So I think there's a couple of units that work really well with her, but Hazel has to be the number one. And also, Avi of the Waves because she has like buffs in her kit and she has really good sustain. And even her leadership skill actually requires a healer, so I think that's really good. I think Catch is actually
고개
really
숙이지
good
못해?
as well
잘 들어.
because Catch likes to be healed. Because if Catch stays topped up, it's hard for even the best units to kill her because her defense is so absurd. So this character to me is like a top priority because I really want to create a team with these two on it. So I might just like try to summon for her. Of course, if you want another
세상
wizard,
만물은 인과를 따르지만 넌 이 세상에 속하지 않는군.
that's another wizard.
이 변수가 대륙에 어떤 영향을 미치든 내가 꼭 지켜볼 것이다.
And who else I think is really good? Uh, out of the
교실에서
SR pool,
수업하는 거 지루했는데 그대가 와서 다행이야.
this guy's not
드디어
bad
정당한
because
이유로 밖에 나갈 수 있게 됐어.
this guy is
별의 탑을
actually dropping
참관하러 온
buffs.
손님을 맞이하는 게
But that's for the SR pool. I use Nicholas a lot, so I'll suggest Nicholas a lot because he's a really good support character. But if you're like playing at the top level, it has to be Hazel. Hazel is her absolute best partner. Absolutely Hazel. And I won't stress that enough. That's Hazel. So, what is my general assessment of this character? I'm glad you asked. She is not a must pull, as if you have Lena, she can actually do a similar job. Not as good, not nearly as good, but this game is so expensive that I can't say she's a must pull when you can have a cheaper character do the same job. and Lena is a cheaper character because if you start this game, you actually can roll her for free. You can actually roll a Lena for free. Excuse me. I believe the RNG forces will make this character hard to summon. But she's doing a lot for your account if you do summon her. If you're a high level PvE player, you're probably gonna have to want to summon her. I'm gonna try to summon her, but the tank is really good too, and I want to summon that too. So I don't know. So it's a hard decision, but without a doubt, I think this is one of the best designed characters in Archlands, hands down, hands down. I can't believe they made a character this good, and I'm scared that the game might die. Good lord, why? It's like the devs actually figured out how to make a really awesome character. Like it's not like it's too overpowered, but it can be, and that's amazing that they were able to achieve this with this character. It's like Light. They made Light, and Light kind of sucked that she didn't have the same synergies as Morgan had. So that's really it's really a big bummer. But anyways, if you like my content, hit the like, share, subscribe button. It goes a long way, and I hope the best for this game. Have a great one, and goodbye.